Boy, do I have a lot to tell you guys about telepathy. I'm gonna try to focus it on what does the future of telepathy look like? What does the future of a telepathic society look like? And the way that we're going to sort of talk about that is with regards to our personal experiences. So, in order to understand what I'm talking about, we need to lay out a framework for understanding what telepathy is. Telepathy is a not new, ancient, unknown, unpracticed form of communication that every single human is capable of utilizing. Telepathy is a different type of communication in the sense that it is matriarchal instead of patriarchal. This doesn't mean that women own it. It actually has nothing to do with women whatsoever, except that women might find it to be a little bit easier than most men, but that's only because of the societal programming and brainwashing that we've been inducted into and the societal structures in place. So I'm not going to try to defend that part, but I am going to explain that the divine masculine, the patriarchal, please don't associate this to gender on earth right now. I'm talking about two different concepts of duality, okay? Of universal duality. So the divine masculine, the patriarchal framework, is a structured physical framework. It's a beautiful thing to have structure and physicality. Our language and our communication has been very structured and physical. Even though words themselves aren't necessarily physical, we take in so many cues from each other's body expressions, tone of voice, the written language. All of this is a very structured communication reality. If I write you a note and I hand it to you and you say, this says, I don't like you. And I say, it says, I love you. And they say, that doesn't happen because the words are on the page and you just call a third person in and they say, well, it says this because it's externalized. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a physical reality. It's in physical reality while other people can all agree and point to it and look at it and decide. They can all hear it. They can all see it. They can all say this type of communication means this. And that's been very useful for us as a society to really collaborate and really understand and really get on the same page with everything. Okay? Especially while we're in this lower vibrational state of not being able to use telepathy. Telepathy is a higher vibrational form of communication. It's different. I'm not saying it's better, but it's different. And it's going to offer us a lot of things that we haven't yet necessarily gotten reward-wise in our society. So telepathy isn't a text message to your brain. Okay, when we think of telepathy, we think, well, I'm going to send a thought to you and you tell me what it was. And you're thinking green sky. And then I don't understand that because it's nonsense and it has no emotional connection and that's not how telepathy works. And so I say, I don't know what you're trying to send to me because it's insane. And then you go, see, telepathy isn't real. That's not how telepathy works. That's trying to compare an old way of communication with a new way of communication and trying to hold it up to the same standards. But telepathy is different fundamentally, okay? So telepathy is an unstructured form of communication that is emotion-based, that is matriarchal, that is about our connection with each other. It's less about physical information being conveyed, and it's more about our emotional connection to each other. And so in the future, as we become more attuned to higher vibrational frequencies, we will learn to attune the musical instrument that is our body with the harmonic tones of divinity and of the higher cognitive functioning of the mind. Telepathy is a higher cognitive functioning of the mind. In order to be telepathic, there are a lot of things that need to happen. You need to align your energy. You need to eat and sleep right. need to be in a state of harmony. You need to understand what it means to be all one. There's a lot that goes into it. And if you're not already deeply, deeply, deeply on the spiritual path, it will be very difficult for you to learn telepathy. And then you're going to feel left out. And that is why I've created Telepathy Training Program Club. This is a big commercial, but it's a commercial that I believe in. Telepathy Training Program Club is a class that I am teaching. It is guaranteed to make you telepathic. Guaranteed. It's takes just a little bit of time. I would say between 10 and 20 minutes a week, maybe a little bit longer, but at the bare minimum, 10 and 20 minutes a week. Dedicated focus on your telepathy skills. And I will guide you through all the different alignments that need to take place for you to become highly, highly telepathic. And I'm not talking about just a little, like I consider myself to be highly telepathic, and I know that as I go through this class with you guys, my telepathy is going to increase dramatically. It doesn't matter how high up or low down you think of your telepathy skills. If you feel like, oh, I could never be telepathic, you can. And if you think I'm very telepathic, you can be more telepathic. So what we're talking about today is why. Why would you want to be telepathic? Why would you want to take this class? Is it something I really need to do if I can just talk? When I was a kid, I heard that if you focused telekinetically, if you focused on telekinesis for 1 hour a day for a year, that you would become telekinetic, that you would be able to move things with your mind, right? So I'm stoked about this because I fully believe it. And I still actually believe that. And I came home and I sat down and I focused my energy telekinetically on something, and I really focused on it. And, I did that for about 10 minutes. And then I realized, this is very boring. And there's absolutely no way in hell I'm going to spend 10 minutes, an hour even, every single day for a year learning how to be telekinetic. I would rather for the rest of my life just pick things up with my hands and figure out how to move them physically. Because to me, telekinesis isn't even worth it. So I get it. Why would you be telepathic if you can just talk? If it takes such a long time to align yourself? Well, okay, here's your reasons. First of all, to align yourself spiritually is going to have a variety of other rewards that are going to change your life into utopian paradise. When you are able to live your authentic truth and live in a state of harmony, your entire reality will stop being dramatic and traumatic, and you will start just receiving abundance and rewards. That's true. So, that alone is like a pretty good reason to try to be telepathic, because the side effects of becoming telepathic are miraculous and wonderful, and they're your right. The other part of it is that you're missing out on an entirely separate type of communication. When we're talking, and I'm sure telekinesis is this way too, when we're talking about telepathy, like I said, it's not a text message to your brain. This is a completely different form of communication. It's outside of time, and it gives you packets of data that are different from the packets of data we receive with verbal communication. The data that we upload telepathically is inherently infused with emotional understanding and empathy and gratitude. And so when you get a telepathic connection with someone and you're able to see them lucidly in dream states, and you're able to know when they're going to call, and you're able to find them in a crowd without texting, and it's harmony. It's a harmonic way of life. And the third thing is community. In order for us to build up our telepathic skills individually, we need to do it within a community of people. So each person who joins the community strengthens the community. And the stronger the community is, the easier it will be for us all to be telepathic, because collectively, as a group, we're going to be raising the vibration of Earth so that telepathy can flow more freely for everyone. So this is truly a historical and iconic time to start learning how to be telepathic. You can join the class on my Patreon. It's like kind of the only option on my Patreon right now. Just go to Patreon Unicole. You can Google it. It's also on the Universe website. It's also on my website, unicoleunicron.com. And it's only $22 a month, which over the course of the year is only $234, I think. And that's not a very expensive class because it has weekly practices, weekly visualizations, a community that you're invited to, and you will become telepathic. I think that's a very cheap price. So please join, please sign up. And now let's talk about what it means to have a telepathic society. A telepathic society is a society, and this is something that, what's his face? Michael Persinger, who's I have a special connection with, whether or not he likes to admit that. He's a scientist, and he has done a lot of esoteric work. I highly recommend you guys check out his work on different things. You can read his papers online. They're all available for free. But he's worked with the CIA and the government, and he's worked developing these technologies. So Michael Persinger did a talk, you can find it on YouTube, talking about how the future of telepathy in a telepathic world, there are no secrets. And that can be misconstrued, right? Because if we can read each other's minds, then there's no secrets, right? And that's the way that most people think about it. But that's not actually how it works. How it works is, in order to be telepathic, you have to be okay with not having any secrets. And it's about honesty and authenticity. It's really about authenticity. So let's start from that place. When you are living your authentic life and you stand by your decisions, you don't have a need to keep secrets. I don't keep secrets, and that's why I have the abilities that I have. But I think that most people keep secrets because they feel like they have to. Let's take cheating on your romantic partner as an example. Let's say that you have strong feelings for somebody outside of your relationship and you want to explore them, but you don't want to give up your relationship. So you cheat on them and then you lie about it. If you were living in a truly authentic way of being, you would stand up to the truth and you would say to your partner, I'm having strong feelings for this other person I want to explore. And you would deal with the consequences of that. Who knows? Maybe the partner you're with would say, I honor that and I want you to explore it. It hurts me, but we'll work through it. Maybe your partner says, I can't handle that. You need to figure that out. And then you have to choose what is true in your heart, and you have to figure out what you want to do that's authentic and not fear-based. So it's really about being very brave and overcoming fear. Do you see why I can't just tell you how to be telepathic in one camp church session? This is a year-long process of figuring out your own harmonic alignment. And you have to be in harmonic alignment in order to ride on the frequency of harmony, which is the frequency that gifts you with the superpower of telepathy. So in a telepathic future, there's no secrets, but that's not a bad or scary thing. That means that's Unitopia. And that's Unitopia because there doesn't need to be secrets, because everyone honors and respects each person's reality for what they're doing. And each person is protected to the point that they need to be protected. And each person says, you do you. I trust you to make the decisions of your true heart. Can you practice saying that to people in your family this week? Maybe if you see your family today for Easter. I honor you for making the decisions of your true heart. Say it to everyone. Say it to your boss. I honor you for making the decisions of your true heart. Say it to the person who's yelling at you on the street. I honor you for making decisions that are in alignment with your true heart. Because maybe they aren't making decisions that are in alignment with their true heart. If someone's yelling or abusing you, that's not a decision that's in alignment with their true heart. But you acknowledging their potential to do that shifts reality. No, well, it's an interesting question. Someone asks if I cheated on Jeremy. Jeremy and I were monogamously married, and he left to go to New Zealand, and we were monogamous for 7 months after he left, and we are still married. And I, came to the realization that I'm polyamorous. So that has been a very big discussion between us, and we still love each other very much, but we have different lifestyles. So we are in a space of just trying to support each other from across the world, and I'm exploring my life. So in some version of that, you could consider it cheating. But I've been very honest and upfront about what's going on from my end, and he's been very honest and upfront about what's going on from his end. So I don't consider it cheating, but he might have a different opinion since we're married. Inside the terms of a marriage, if you got married, monogamously, maybe that's, cheating. I don't know. It's a definition thing. So that's the place that's a good example, because it's a place where I had to take responsibility for my true heart, and I had to stand up for what I knew was true for myself, and I had to risk losing something that's very important to me. And I had to just align myself in love for myself and for others, and not live in fear, and just do what I feel is right, even though it seems insane or crazy or out of alignment to other people. I have checked in with myself so many times to make sure that I am in alignment. And in that process, I have gotten great rewards in my life, because I am being who I know I need to be. And I'm not living by fear. And I don't like to hurt other people, of course. But when you're in alignment with yourself, you have to just allow other people to take space, or drop out of your life if they need to, or respect your decisions however they need to. So as long as you're in alignment with yourself and other people react and respond, all you can do is send love to them. You cannot force somebody else to accept you. You cannot force somebody else to do anything. You just have to say, I accept you and your response to me living my authentic truth. It's a big transition, you guys. It's a big transition. It's going to be a big transition on a microcosmic level and also on a macro. So in the future with telepathy, there's going to be more empathy. There's going to be less greed. There's going to be more divinity. Have you ever picked up on something horrible telepathically? I felt when people are in bad moods, if someone's hurting, I'll be like calling them, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm in a bad mood, or I'm suffering today, but luckily I haven't had anything really bad happen lately. So I haven't had the inclination of that. Telepathy and clairvoyancy are very similar, because they're outside of time. So the first time that I had clairvoyancy, I was working in a breakfast restaurant, and it was very busy. And I went to get a glass from this shelf that had the glasses, and I felt the glass break in my hand, but it didn't break. And so I was very careful, and I slowly moved the glass away. And I was so confused, because I felt it break in my hand, and it was so strange. So I was walking away very slowly, and behind me, somebody came up and smashed a glass just right behind me, because they were, it's like the energy of a glass breaking was there, and it was like it was going to happen somehow, and I felt it, but then I was like, I moved out of its way, and then the glass broke. So that really opened my mind up to how these things work. So telepathy is outside of time. Let's say that you have a dream with someone who doesn't know who you are, but it's a lucid dream, and you're very connected to them, and you're connected to their spirit. Well, maybe they are or they aren't aware of it, because they also have to be aligned harmonically in order to receive the telepathy. So how does that work? That works by storing up the information in the Akashic field so that when they do become aligned, they get the download and they get an opinion of you. And they might not know the specifics about how and what transpired in the astral plane, but the information is still being delivered on a subconscious level. There's a lot you can do in dreams telepathically with people. You can work out problems, conflicts. You can let somebody, I'm having a relationship right now with someone who I'm highly telepathic with. And when they're upset with me, they're not very good at communicating in person. But I'll have experiences in the dream realms where they get their frustration out and they express themselves very well in the dream realm. And I think that it's very healing on a personal level as well, because they're able to express themselves how they truly want to, and I'm receiving it. So even if I wasn't aware of receiving it, on a subconscious level, I would be. And I don't know if they're aware of sending it, but on a subconscious level, I think they feel the relief of that because the communication is happening. Okay, let's take the quiz of how telepathic are you. I'm going to pull this up. And you guys, if you've already taken the quiz, I highly recommend you actually go online and take this quiz. It's linked on my Twitter if you scroll down just a bit. But we'll go through the questions. And if you take the quiz, then I will send you an email with your results. So if you want to know the results of how telepathic you are, then that's the best thing to do. Okay, question 1. Let me see if I can just minimize this here. Can you guys still see that? Question 1. I have randomly thought about a friend. You guys can type your answers if you want. I have randomly thought of a friend and then physically seen them soon after without making plans with them. This is something that you're going to be able to experience in telepathy when you're telepathic. You will think of your friend and then you will see them and then you'll be able to hang out with them however you felt like you wanted to hang out with them. 2. I have felt my phone vibrate in my pocket before receiving a text or an email. This is another thing that you'll experience when you're telepathic. 3. I have had a dream about someone and they have contacted me the next day. Like I said, the dream realm, the dream space is a very amazing space to practice and download and upload information for telepathy. Again, it's outside of time. I have said the same thing as my friend at the same time. I correctly finish people's sentences. I commonly have déjà vu. I have correctly predicted the future on at least one occasion. I have had a shared dream experience with someone. I have intuitively felt when something bad was going to happen on at least one occasion. I have intuitively felt when something great was going to happen on at least one occasion. I have had at least one prophetic dream. I often say just what someone else is thinking. People have told me that I'm psychic. I can successfully communicate with animals. Me and my best friend often laugh without saying anything. Other people mention things I'm thinking without me saying them. So that's just a little quiz to find out if you're telepathic and how telepathic you are. Even if you get every answer as yes, you can still become more telepathic. Absolutely. Thank you, David. Tithe 10% of your income, please. Not everyone can connect with every heart. Isn't there limits in telepathy? Like you connect with hearts. Okay, so this is a great question. Spencer's feeling maybe a little overwhelmed about telepathy and about how many people you can telepathically communicate with. And this is the thing. This is how I see telepathy. As a physical body, we have crystals in our pineal glands, and we have crystals in our bones, and we have crystals in our pituitary system. We are a computer. We're an instrument, and we can pick up on very minute resonances. And we don't know that yet because we haven't practiced it. But when we open our mind up to a higher way of being, we can interpret and understand infinite resonances, infinite, with our bodies and with our consciousnesses, okay? Because the universe is within our own consciousness. So the electromagnetic spectrum, which includes brainwaves, goes from 0 to infinity. And our cognitive functioning is within a limited band. Our visual functioning is within a limited band. These are sense organs. Our brain and our eyes and our ears, these are sense organs to communicate with a certain frequency range on the electromagnetic spectrum. This frequency range is limited in our physical reality. But as we open up our higher cognitive functioning, we can actually expand the amount of frequency range that we can absorb and interpret. So let's say it this way, Spencer. When you're looking at a rainbow, okay, you've got every color here. And this is what it's like in the Akashic field. You've got every bit of information, every person's heart, every potential telepathic or dream thought in this mass data collection of the Akashic field, which is just the collection of human consciousness. What do you call that? The collective unconscious, right? All the information is up there. Think of it as a rainbow, okay? With just a lot more colors. But when you look at a rainbow, you don't have any trouble looking at it. And if I say, which one's light blue? If you're not colorblind, you don't have any trouble saying, there it is, it's right there. That's easy for you to do. So in this higher way of thinking, and you've got this rainbow with lots of different colors, the more powerful you get, the more it's easy for you not only to absorb and comprehend the mass of energy, which is the rainbow, but the easier it is for you to identify and tune into specific frequencies, which is such as a specific color. I just want to give a shout out to the divine for channeling this information through me. I feel very grateful right now. I didn't know this till I just started talking about it. This is some genius shit. Shout out to the divine for flowing through me. So you can ultimately communicate with as few, as specifically people as you want to. You can send out a telepathic that goes through the entire Akashic field. You can find a plant in the Amazon that's under a specific tree, and you can tune into that plant that's next to a mushroom that's got a bug on it right now. And you can send love to that plant. This is just a matter of tuning in. We're like a radio. We're an instrument. We have the right to be telepathic humans. By taking my class, Telepathy Training Program Club, it's not the best name. It's a good name. It's not catchy. Let's just say telepathy class for short. Telepathy Training Program Club. Telepathy class. By taking my telepathy class on Patreon, you will learn how to do this. Anyone can learn this. Anyone. Sincerely. All it takes is your focused attention. So the future of a telepathic society is this. You wake up in the morning, whenever you want, but it's before your alarm. Okay? It's like you wake up refreshed. It's right when you want to wake up. Oh, 10 minutes before my alarm. Great. You get out of bed. You're almost out of soap. But guess what? You didn't even know you were almost out of soap. But yesterday, you bought some from the store. Because the cashier said, would you like to try some soap? Because it's half off. And you're like, I think I have plenty of soap. But then you came home and you realized, oh my gosh, I'm almost out of soap. But good thing I just bought some. Total abundance, right? And then you have a feeling that your coworker isn't feeling good. And you're like, oh no, they're not going to be able to do the presentation with me today. And also, by the way, this is your dream job. Okay? You're like, oh, my coworker isn't going to be able to do the presentation with me today. I just have that feeling. So you start mentally preparing how you're going to do their part of the presentation. You get in your car and you're about to drive to work, and you get a text and it's your coworker saying, I'm so sick, I'm so sorry, I can't do the presentation with you. And you're like, it's totally fine. Sending love, hope you heal good. Heal up. So you get into the car and you just have a feeling that you wanted to stop by a coffee shop. So you go and you stop by the coffee shop. But guess what? You just avoided a crash and you're able to go around it. And you get to work right on time, even though you took a little break at the coffee stop. Oh, how nice it is. Then you do the presentation and you're able to telepathically connect to each of the people you're presenting to and deliver the information in a way that is in a much higher level of frequency and understanding than they would have ever understood before. And they just are like, they get it. They understand what you're trying to communicate and they think it's a great idea. And so yes, whatever the presentation was for, great, you're promoted. Then you call your romantic partner who you've been feeling like they've been thinking about you. And they say, listen, I want to take you to this restaurant. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've been craving tacos all day and it's a taco restaurant. This is what I'm talking about. This is the world of telepathy. This is the world of harmony that can be every day, where things just work out. Things are just in alignment. Everything that you sort of desire or need comes to you without your having to work hard for it, because your work isn't physical. Your work is spiritual. Your work is to be spiritually aligned. And then the world works for you. This is a really good cam church. You guys, thank you for joining me. Check out Telepathy Program Training Club, telepathy class. You can go on Unicron.com, you can go on universe.com with ones for eyes with threes for ease. You can also just go on my Patreon, Unicole, sign up today. Classes start June 1st and become part of this iconic time of when the world actually is starting to learn telepathy. It's iconic. And you can say, I took the first telepathy class of Unicult and we changed the world. We made the world more telepathic and I became telepathic through that class. So beautiful. All right. Uni bless.